there, everyone, and welcome to Yasmin's Moonology podcast. As you can see, I'm not Yasmin, I'm Cassandra, and I'm going to be taking you through the astrology of the week of February 16 to 22. This isn't my first rodeo here on Yasmin's podcast. I've been a guest many times, but the lovely Yasmin has invited me to take the reins this week while she's enjoying some time in India. So thanks, Yasmin, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and no doubt Yasmin will be back real soon, providing you with plenty of insights and wisdom in upcoming episodes. So as I said, my name's Cassandra. I'm not new here. So if you've found me here on Moonology before, it's wonderful to see you again. And if you're new, my website is cassandratyndall.com. As you can probably tell, I'm Australian and I'm still based here. And if you'd love to go over to my website and find out more about me, sign up to my newsletter there and you can download a calendar that will help guide you through some of the major planetary events of 2025.
What's in the stars?
This episode, though, we're just going through the week of February 16 to 22. So this is a really quiet week. However, when it's quiet, it does provide us plenty of opportunity to pause, prepare, and reflect. And our first major influence of the week gives us exactly that opportunity. And that is the sun's movement from Aquarius into Pisces on Tuesday, the 18th. Now, this is a regular annual event where from about the 18th of February, we get a good 4 weeks of the sun in Pisces. So this gives us the opportunity to pause, to reflect, and to transition. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. And so in the Northern Hemisphere, where the symbolism of astrology comes from, it's the last month of winter. And of course, the reverse is true here in the Southern Hemisphere, where we're enjoying the last gasps of summer. So we start to transition from the current season into the next one. So Pisces season predominantly is this idea of transitions and changes. It's a mutable energy. So it's very flexible, it's very changeable, and it's very multifaceted. Now, the sign of Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. And so Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. It wants to open up, it wants to learn, it wants to philosophize, it wants to experience. But in the watery, feminine, yin urges of Pisces, all of those Jupiterian themes are internal. So this is a really great week if you've yet to start a meditation practice, if you don't do any form of prayer or work in whichever way, shape, or form works for you. This is a really great week to start to work with a higher power, spirit, faith, or whatever. There's a lot of astrological energy in the sign of Pisces right now and has been for quite some time. But in the theme of transitions, many of these energies are going to start to transition out. And that starts next month as Neptune, who's been in Pisces since around 2011, starts to edge out of that sign. May, we'll see Saturn, who's been there since March of 2023, start to transition out of that sign. But strangely, we've also had the North Node move into Pisces a month ago. So again, the idea of transitions, things end and new things begin. So we've had a lot of pressure, a lot of heaviness, and a lot of weight when it comes to the Pisces parts of our life. But at the same time, there might have been a little bit of confusion, some overwhelm, and some deep fatigue. This week, though, as the sun shines its bright light into this area, we get to spotlight, we get to focus on this part of the sky, this part of our charts, this part of our lives, and start to think about, all right, well, with the cycles moving forward, where do we want to start to dry out somewhat? Where do we really want to put our eye of focus, which is really what the sun is? Where do we want to hone in our focus But before we can really do that, we do need to reflect a little bit. We need to figure out what is important to us. Pisces is a sign that's watery, it's emotional, and it's internal. So we might need a little bit of stillness. We might need some time by the water. We might need more sleep, more rest, more reading, whatever it means to you. So this week, for the most part, it's not so much about getting up and going. It's more about being a human being rather than a human doing. So this pausing and reflective energy is going to help us sort of figure out, okay, where do we really want to be going? Where do we want to be moving to? The North Node is there now. So that does symbolize the idea of ambition, hunger, desire. And so you might be starting to think or feel rather that you're desiring different things. You might desire or have a hunger for more of life's intangibles, the things we can't see, the things we can't touch, but the things we can very much feel. So, again, the idea of spirituality, faith, belief, these themes are going to be really important. You may not really feel them so much this week as it begins, but it is definitely going to be a theme as we move through the next 4 weeks. So, if you do know where Pisces is in your birth chart, do hone in on that area of life and start to think about how some of these ideas um, relate to you. If you don't know where Pisces in your birth chart is, then you can just take these themes generally. So, you might need more rest, you might need more time by the water, drinking more water. You might enjoy baths. You might just enjoy daydreaming and wondering and all of those kind of creative, ridiculous things that the pace of life doesn't really allow for. So, if you can find a little bit of room in your day to nurture, to dream, to imagine, create, that's going to be a very helpful thing to do this week and for the next 4 weeks at the minimum when we're looking at the sun. But it is going to be a strong energy, at least for the next another 18 months to go, even though there's a lot of energy starting to make its way out of Pisces.
Where's the moon?
When it comes to the moon this week, we're fairly fresh off a full moon in Leo, which is very bold and dramatic. Now, adding to the mutability of Pisces, we have the moon coming into Sagittarius on the 20th. Now, this will signify one of the more what we call the hard aspects with the moon. That is the third quarter moon phase coming through this week. So we had the full moon last week. Now the moon is still half full, but she's half full and she's waning. She's half full and she's losing light. Now, while that might seem a little bit of a buzzkill, it does add to the idea of reflection, of rest, and maybe taking it easy a little bit. That being said, though, the moon still has half her light left. So this isn't ideal to start new things. This isn't ideal to tackle the world. This week is more about looking at what's already on your plate and dealing with what you've already got. Um, Clear that away. You might need to prioritize, you might need to adjust, you might need to change your mind a little bit with the mutability here. The mutability is not really a decide and do energy. It's going with the flow. It's got all the balls in the air, but somehow still manages to do all the things. So it can have a little bit of a restless quality to it, particularly this moon being in Sagittarius. Again, we've got that theme of Jupiter coming through. So it is very much a week of believing, trusting, having faith, letting your clarity override your logic. That's going to be a massive theme for quite some time. This isn't a week to overthink the details, but it is probably going to be a week of distractions. So, again, allowing a little bit of time to reflect, redefine what your point of vision is, what's important to you. And that may be based off belief. That may be based on what is true for you. This might be based upon what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose. With so much Jupiterianness, with the sun in Pisces, traditionally ruled by Jupiter, and of course, that third quarter moon in Sagittarius, also ruled by Jupiter. Now, Jupiter in the sky right now is in busy, busy Gemini. So it is a very frantic, overwhelming energy. It's a bit like finding Nemo, this idea of you're going in one direction and then it's like, oh, no, no, now I'm going in that direction. So it is a little bit on the crazy scale. I personally have Jupiter in Gemini, so I live in that domain and I'm fine with it. I've got my own madness. But this week we have Mercury in Pisces squaring that Jupiter in Gemini. Now, this is about, again, the idea of clarity, logic, details, data. Again, I could go into all of the descriptions and the details of this from the astrological symbolism, but I think the key takeaway here this week is go with the flow. Don't be too bogged down in the details. Don't try and get all analytical, overthink. Maybe embrace your own inner Australian and go, yep, she'll be right, mate. We'll just figure it out as we go along. More the merrier, go with the flow. I've been really toying a lot with the astrology upcoming of we've been in such an energy of going with the flow. Now we're going to be moving into an energy of flowing with the go. We're in this transition point now where we have to sort of stop and reflect and think about, okay, I've been going in this direction and where has it got me? Where am I positioned? Where am I situated? Then, okay, well, this is how things are changing. This is how the world is changing. This is how life is transitioning. As far as 2025 is concerned, it sort of hasn't really begun yet, astrologically speaking. So we're in this sort of precipice of so much change. Again, I'll reiterate the idea of try and rest, try and really harness your eye of vision, where you want to go, what's true for you, what your ethics, morals, and principles are. And that's going to be a strong guiding force for you as we move through the astrology. Now, I also want to touch base somewhat on Mars. Now, Mars has been retrograde in Cancer since the year began. It officially doesn't station direct until next week on the 24th, and Yasmin will take you all through that. This week, though, Mars is in the position in the sky where it will station 17 degrees of Cancer. So essentially, the planet Mars, which is about action, motivation, mojo, energy, assertiveness, confidence, drive, it's not moving. It is not moving. It is, you know, sitting in traffic, in cosmic traffic, so to speak. So there is going to be a sense of irritability with that. There is going to be agitation, aggravation, and it's most likely going to be of an emotional nature. It's Cancer. You might also reach some intuitive insights around this. When a planet, especially a planet like Mars that spends a long time in retrograde motion, stations, which it's in the process of doing now, it is a very intense and pertinent part of the cycle. So this week, there's just that, it's more dominant next week, but we can't ignore what it's doing this week because essentially it's kind of doing the same thing. So this week is going to be, please pause, practice the pause before you react. And when you pause, you have more of a chance to respond. If someone does something that pushes your buttons, activates you, triggers you as one of the key words these days is. It's this idea of, okay, take that pause. It's Pisces, take that breath. What is this situation teaching me? What can I learn from it? It's going to be more about practicing the pause so you can respond rather than react. Hot tip, if you can really hone that idea, and I could talk so much more about it, and I have done on my YouTube channel, which you can just search my name and you'll find it. Um, you will get the blessings that Jupiter in Cancer promises from June. So just be aware of maybe some inner agitation, stuff from the past, emotions, uh, areas that you're sentimental to. What emotion, because it's so much water this week with the sun moving into Pisces and Mars in Cancer. And there's a lot of Pisces energy, as I mentioned. Um, what could you really gain from cutting, severing, burning? What emotions, what feelings, what reactions are no longer working for you? So I really want you to just sort of think about that a little bit this week. And I think that's really going to be some really good astrological medicine to take you through um, not only this week, but in the upcoming weeks. Because Mars, even though it stations direct next week, it's still going to be in the sign of Cancer until April. Okay, so about April 17. So we're in this for a little while yet, but we're at a bit of a peak period of this long cycle that actually started back in September of 2024. September, October, very beginning of November, Mars moved into Leo. Then it retrograded back into Cancer at maybe the 3rd of January. So we've basically had Mars in Cancer all year, bar a bit of December. So it's been a very, very big one. And no doubt Yasmin has given you plenty of insights around that, and there's going to be so much more to come. But the idea is if something's bothering you, if you're emotional about something, do the work, figure it out, and the blessings will definitely come. Okie dokes. So that's kind of the week. It's deep, but it's not busy, but it's sort of a lot going on all at once. So what I thought I would do is firstly, before I pull a card for you, is discuss a little bit about this frequently asked question. Yasmin asked me to discuss a frequently asked question.
Your questions answered.
We're still in the very early stages of 2025, and no doubt so many of you are maybe a little bit apprehensive, maybe a little nervous, maybe a little excited about so many changes that are coming through this year. What the cosmos does for us in 2025, it introduces us to the larger cycles that don't really get set in stone until next year. So this year does have a sense of experimenting a little bit. We get to walk up to the smorgasbord or the buffet, taste the options, and then next year we get to go back for seconds. So if you can embrace the idea of reflection, pausing, hand on heart, what is true for me? What is authentic to me? What do I really want? How can what I want be of value to other people? How can I serve other people? How can I be of benefit to others, my family, my friends, my community, and the world at large? That's really going to be what brings in really significant change. This earlier part of the year is sort of figuring this out. A lot's changing in the world, and a lot of us don't know what that looks like. We got some ideas, but we're all navigating it together. So the stillness of now is really helping us to face our stuff. If we don't face our stuff, we stuff our face. That could be with food, could be with alcohol, could be with Netflix, it could be with whatever distraction that we or vice that we utilize that stops us from really taking that good look within and asking ourselves, what do I really need to fix? What habitual patterns, responses, reactions, emotions, that really I could leave back in 2024 and never look at them again. So do look at that stuff now because the work, though frustrating, though painful at times, the work of Mars in Cancer has a method to the madness of it. That method is to prepare us for such abundance, such blessings, and astrological gold come June. But the catch is, if the creator is trying to pour all this light, we need to prepare the vessel so we can hold all of that light. And that is the message of now. So that's what I would include as far as a frequently asked question is, what is the best thing you can do to prepare yourself for these incredible changes that 2025 introduce us to? It's really such a historical period of time that we're all moving through.
A message from the Oracle.
All right, so as far as cards go, I'm a bit of a traditionalist and I am using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is a classic. So I'm just going to pull a card so we can get a bit of a feel. I'm a hopeless shuffler, so excuse me while I do that. And we're going to pull a card out here. And the card that we have is the card Justice. I love that. Very Jupiterian. It's about balance. It's also got the sword there and the scales and the woman in beautiful robes and, or maybe it's a man wearing the crown. And so this idea again of balance, balancing things out, finding what's true, finding the truth collectively, finding the truth within. And we can't really do that when we're busy, when we're frantic, when we're trying to do all the things. We really get a sense of justice, ethics, morality, and peace when we are still and when we contemplate. So it might be a message about moving through this week with a sense of justice and truth within, acting with integrity, transacting with other people with integrity, always checking in with your higher power about your choices, about your decisions, but most importantly, your thoughts, because thoughts always become things. And also maybe being sensitive and aware of where there may be injustice or things not being, what they should be. So there we have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed some of my thoughts for the week of the 16th of February, 2025 through to the 22nd. If you're still here with me, thank you so much. As I often do when I appear on Yasmin's podcast, Yasmin often recommends me for readings when clients request them from Yasmin. So if you would love more insights about the year ahead, you want more insight into your natal chart, you want to understand astrology more through the lens of your birth chart, you're more than welcome to book a reading with me. To use a discount code, which is going to be MOON20, and that will give you 20% discount off my rates for the month of February. I'd love to connect with you in person, share some astrology and some insights, and answer all your questions about astrology. So until next time, I hope you have a really wonderful week of transitions and reflections. And Yasmin, I hope you're having a wonderful time in India. So until next time, I hope I'll get to see all of you again soon, and do have a wonderful and peaceful week. Shalom. Bye.